Are you sleeping?
No, what? No, I was saying it's always a cool thing when you're on a call with someone these days and it's dark on
Yeah.
one side, light on the other. Anyway,
It's still
what?
a bit, but it's getting dark anyway.
Ah, okay, it's completely dark here. Anyway, your dad fought in the war, right?
No, no, but what I remember what I wanted to say is that I remember my granddad, because he was in, they call them militia.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, my dad asked him once if it came to the point that they were asked to shoot their neighbors or whoever, their family members or whoever, if he would do that really, because he was trained to do that. And he said, well, if they tell us you have to, then I have to. So this is how really seriously brainwashed. May my granddad's soul rest in peace. But that's how they were able to brainwash people. They would like shoot their family members, they would shoot people they know, people they consider them their friends. Um, so yeah, it was really like hard times because there was kind of like secret police. You never knew who actually is really your friend, and that's what I feel is the still the impact on the nation of Czechoslovakians, them and us, them meaning Slovak people and us as well. We are not people who trust easily. And when somebody is, let's say, rich because the person works really hard, we still somewhere feel that he had to steal it somewhere because that's how it was. You
Mm.
people were really poor, they didn't have money. Everybody who had money or had access to good education, to good schools, had to be in the Communist Party, and you could not have good education or you could not have good money if you were not in contact with the right people. So that's why we don't trust when we see that somebody, I don't know, has a business and the business is running really well. We always suspect, oh, this person definitely has to know some people somewhere on the right places. Like there is no way that somebody is that clever or that good to be able to earn good money. And I feel that our nation, the people here, are very envious, very,
Resentful.
yeah, I don't want to say bitter, but sometimes even that, yes. And we are bitter because we feel like we deserved more, but we didn't get it. But I feel that it's really like the highest time to stop whining and to like, do what you want. Like, you want to be successful, that's perfect, that's great. Make a plan, be successful. But we want to get it without the effort because that's what we see in the past. That's what my parents lived in. Like, people got things just because they were communists, or people got things just because they knew the right people, but not because they were good. My father, he has a degree, but he was basically allowed, I don't want to say allowed to study, but yes, he had problems with getting to schools just because his mother was Christian, because religion was something what went against the ideology. So there were people who were put into prison, who were tortured. A lot of them were priests. Um, Nuns and a lot of priests ended up in mines, mining, dying there. So that's what we did to each other, because that's not what Russians told us to do. That's what we kind of like saw as normal.
Yeah,
But
it gets,
you
it
and me
gets to
know
a
it's
point.
not.
Yeah, it gets to a point where you get poisoned. You get poisoned so much that then the person doesn't have to use poison anymore to poison you. Like your body just produces it in a way, kind of mentally, and then you
Yeah.
just end up you just take it as far as you want to take it, and then you can't really actually blame those people that gave you the poison because now it's all about you and your actual. It's like they trigger your own inner evil, and then what you do with that is up to you.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that in every country, every society, every culture, every movement. It's like that's exactly that when you're blinded by ideology. It's like we have 1,000 genders type of ideology, or we have we as women get killed, and therefore we're gonna say that we're fighting against GBV type of stuff. It's like you get
Mm.
blinded by that so much, and men are trash, and all of this stuff that
Yeah, yeah.
the people that even that or Black Lives Matter, the people that even formulated and force these things down your throat don't even have to do it anymore. You voluntarily take it. It's like you
Yeah,
become
it's like the Matrix bill. You just
yeah yeah. It's like what's it called? Not Munchausen syndrome. What's it called? That um
wait, oh, I knew it.
but
It's
yeah
like when you get abducted by or kidnapped by the kidnapper, and he's torturing you, and you kind of like,
yeah. I don't
I
believe
don't want to say
anymore.
like fall in love with him, but there is like and you create kind of admiration to the person. I
Mm.
forgot that, but yeah. So that's what happened here, and that's why and you can still feel it here. You really like if you come here and if you live here for a certain amount of time when you work here, you will feel that people do not wish you well. When you are well, something's wrong. It's not because you're good. It can't be because you're good.
Yeah yeah. That's like yeah. That's like because the thought process with everyone, especially when you believe in something like a socialism or communism, like you mentioned before, is that, well, we all start on the same block. So therefore, if we start on the same block and we have the same amount of time um, in life, that means that I should have exactly what you should have. And if you have more than what I have, that either means you stole it or you took it from me.
Mm.
And then as soon as that happens, then that justifies me from taking it from you because you don't deserve it. And then it goes back, and then it just keeps going. And then it's like, well, you have to in order to think that, you have to then neglect actually thinking that that person actually worked harder than you. Because
Yeah.
by doing that, that means that you didn't work as hard. And by doing that, you then need to admit that you have failed and you're not
But it
enough.
doesn't necessarily mean that you failed. It just means
Yeah,
that everybody is better in something else. Like as I said, I'm bad at math. Like I
yeah.
cannot work. Like I cannot be an accountant, for example.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is like it's like you don't even have to think that that you failed, but at least you need to consider it,
Yeah.
and that's already enough. That's already enough to take someone out. So they go, no, how the hell? That's not possible. How? I mean, I'm working hard. It's like, yeah, you could have failed. That's one. The other thing is, well, you could. The other person can just be great at that, and you just not born. You weren't actually born on the same um, ladder, right? It's
Mm.
like it's just the way that it is, and at times you find that also it could be that the other person just utilized different situations to you, and then made better decisions. It's like it's perhaps it's not just to do with the fact that they took it from you, and then but the thing is again is that as soon as you have to think like that, then it becomes a trust issue. Then it becomes a oh, I don't know, that person's rich because they got it from somewhere else. It's like, yeah, that could be true, but it's not
But
highly unlikely that it's that way, because even if they're rich and they took it from somewhere else, how are they going to keep it if they don't work hard? How are they going to keep that if they don't have the means to do so?
mm,
So, I mean, it's not to say that people don't obviously go through bad means to get things, and there aren't systems that were put in place in every country where it benefited more people than other people. But even if that's so, it doesn't mean that now that's always the case, and that's
mm,
always what you're gonna have to fall back on. At some point, you're gonna have to think to yourself, maybe I'm not making it in life, or I'm not going where I want to be because I'm the issue, and I need to then take responsibility for that. And the more you play victim, victim, the more people just go, no, I don't want to hire this person, or no, I don't want to be this guy's friend, or no, I don't want to be this person's partner, because even if I do them, even if me and them, that person gets into an altercation and they're not happy, they will not blame themselves. They'll keep blaming me. So no, I'm not about that. And most people will then go, well, you know what? I'm going to take someone that at least can take accountability. And therefore, that way we can then move forward honestly. So,
yeah.
yeah.
And on the other hand, another thing, what I always when I am here listening to people talking about what's going on now in Europe, what makes me sad, what made me happy before I came, when the war between Russia and Ukraine started, what made me really happy and proud of my country was the huge wave of solidarity, the help we offered, how many refugees we took, and how much money we really invested, and how much machinery and weapons and everything we sent to support Ukraine. And now, after what you said, it started in February, March, May, April. April, May. So it's like it's been like 5, 6 months now going on, and you can see the shift here. You can not see, but you can feel and hear the shift here, because it's really strange that people here think like they start like pointing at the Ukrainians who are here. They came here, they ran, they brought like one bag of clothes and that's all, and two kids. It's always like women and kids, right? It's not like men stayed there and they're fighting there. And you see like Czech people complaining like, oh, so they were running right, but I saw them like having iPhones and brands like Adidas, and some of them were even wearing Gucci, and they were having makeup and stuff. And I'm thinking like, and you think that they came from a jungle, or they lived in like when somebody tells me now, you have 1 hour, pack your stuff, of course I will take my phone. I'm not going to leave my phone. I'm not going like, if I have iPhone, I have iPhone. So I am going to have iPhone wherever I go.
And
And
also, and on top of that as well, it's like even those same people, if you ask, even no matter what you have, it's always going to be a bit much for someone else. So even if they didn't have an iPhone 9 and they had an iPhone 4, people that have iPhone 5s and up will go, okay, cool, it's fine. They can come. But then people that have lesser iPhone 3 and 2 and 1 go, no, they have a better iPhone than me. They should stop. Or if they had a flip phone from back in the day, people that don't even have phones will go, oh my gosh, they even have phones, they can't come. So it's like, what else can you do? Like even you have clothes on your back, people that go, well, don't have clothes will say, oh, look at them, but they even have a shirt, let alone that it's Gucci. It's like, oh my, they have clothes.
yeah, yeah.
Mm, mm.
So that's what I am happy about, but also because it's taking, I feel that, they have to realize, I mean, now Czech people have to realize, and whatever people who take refugees, or nation who takes refugees, they have to realize that some of them will stay there forever, because some of them will, not some of them, most of them will have nowhere to go back to, because they will lose their houses. There, we know that there was like a lot of bombing, so they will really, like, they will not have money, and they will not have For them, for some of them, it will be easier to stay here because they already started building their life here. The kids will start in September, they will start going to school. There already have been some programs, so they started learning Czech language so that they can continue in education. So some of them will most probably, if I was a woman married to a man and my husband, and we flee and my husband would die here, and my whole family would, my mom would be with me, like, what reason would I have to go back and start over? If my kid is somewhere at school doing well, so why would I go back to a devastated country? Just a practical point of view. And that's what every country who takes refugees have to think about. So there will be people who will not go back. They will stay there and they will become part of your country.
And it could be
But
good, and
the
it
thing
could be
that Czech people feel
better.
that they are like taking their money, they're taking their jobs. So suddenly there are like
Conflict there.
I don't want to say enemies because we welcome them. We want, like, we told them, come here. We like where you can be here and we will take care of you. But on the other hand, I think like sometimes you offer help, but you have to realize the consequences it really and the impact it will have on the whole country. It's not like you offer a friend stay over for a week
Yeah, and
because everybody.
that's the big difference with it as well, right? Is that it's like when it's exactly that. It's different when it's someone that's coming over for, to stay, and then this person asks you for something, and then tomorrow they're leaving and they're going back to wherever they are. Like this is like impacts your whole life and your kids' life and your future and the competitiveness and all of that stuff. So some people that are afraid for that change, or they're afraid to lose what they already have, are not going to welcome that, because it's like, I'm already fighting the people that are already in my country because of whatever, whatever, whatever.
Exactly.
Now we're going to saturate it even more, and the chances are those people that are coming here are hungry, and they're based on survival. So they're gonna work 10 times as hard. Now,
Oh
if
yeah.
that and the problem with that is that then I now really have to concede that I'm not working hard, right? And then that'll
Yeah.
push me lower and lower down, and then you obviously you feel intimidated by it, right? Which is a valuable case as well. But then in the other way as well, it's like, well, if these people come over, right, they're going to improve us, right? They're going to improve us.
Yeah, they're showing you your weaknesses, basically. They're showing you, like,
Exactly.
look, this is exactly where you can be better at if you do this or that. But the
Yeah.
thing is that we don't want to learn
Yes. Well, the ones that don't want
because
to
we're
learn
too
don't want
comfortable.
that.
We became too comfortable with everything. We're
Yeah,
spoiled.
yeah, yeah, and that's why it's a global issue, right? It's like it happens everywhere. It happens in America, back home, everywhere. It's like, well, we need the skill set. It happens in the Middle East, but like, what do we do then? Because if we bring the skill set in, then all of us then start to lose everything, and then we stop becoming the Czech Republic. Then we become Ukraine, number two, right? So it's like, how do we stop that? And it's like, well, do we then completely shut people off? Because then that means that chances are they're going to shut us off too, and you never know tomorrow, right? So then it's like,
Yeah.
well, then what do we do? Okay, well then let's make certain laws whereby we can say that, okay, we will benefit from this and they won't benefit from that, but they'll bring this and then they'll do that, and it's a constant conversation, right? That's the whole political conversation, is that like, who will tax them more than others, or we'll make sure that they have to pay this and then you guys don't have to pay that. And that's where governments come in, and they try to get they try to get votes, and um, the nice, they try to get the good side of the people by trying to make it seem like, no, I've got your best interest in heart. I make
Mm.
sure that you guys are fine. That time you're like, you got 4 years left, man. You're not even. You'll do what you have to do, and then you'll get out and make sure that you're sorted. Because at the end of the day, it's a job. right? So
Mm.
it happens everywhere, and it's interesting that again, it's like it happened there, it's happening, and it's probably going to happen. So
Yeah, obviously, yeah. And it's sad. It's sad because it doesn't have to. And I understand all these people like, please stop the war, like talk. No, it's not like when you are dealing with a madman, there is no space to talk. There is nothing to talk about. You cannot talk with a madman who has his vision of the old Russia, and he wants to, because I feel that he has this Napoleon complex, you know? He wants, because he feels small himself, he wants to do big things. He wants to be like um
you're really
living.
gonna get this Wi-Fi cut off.
So what?
You're really gonna get this Wi-Fi cut off.
Oh my God.
Putin ain't playing, bro. He's how many? What, 300 kilometers away? He ain't
Yeah, I
playing,
know
bro.
it's not far away. I know it's not
That's a,
far away, but I hope like he maybe I don't know. How does his wife look like? Is she blonde with white? I don't know.
bro, Putin is a bus ride away from you. You don't want to be playing with that man.
No, I don't want to play with him, but he doesn't want to play with me as well. No, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
you
so
know,
here's another talking point. Here's another talking point. So,
mm,
your granddad was in the army.
my granddad, what he was, you mean during the Second World War, or what do you
Mhm.
mean?
Well, whatever, whichever one. He's in the He was in the military.
In the military, because military was mandatory here. You
Yeah,
had to go to
mandatory.
military. At the age of 18,
Uh-huh.
every 18-year-old boy had to go for for my great grandfather. It was actually, I think, 5 years. For
5 years what?
my
Oh,
friend, for 5 years, you have to be in militia, in
oh,
military.
oh. I was about to say, what
Um,
kind of crazy
my
stuff is that?
for my grandfather, it was 2 years, and I think the same for my dad. But the thing is, when you were studying or when you were at university at the age of 18, you went only for a certain amount of months, so you were excused because of education.
What if you didn't want to go?
You had to. It was a law. You
Uh-huh.
didn't have if and here we go again. If you knew the right doctor who will
Uh-huh.
write down that your eyesight is too bad, or that you had a broken hip, or whatever, I don't know, you would get, it was called a blue book. So if you had the blue book, it meant that you don't have to go to the military. But otherwise, every young man at the age of 18, you got a letter and you had to go to the army basically for training. And it was like 2 year training. It was not like, on one hand, I feel that the boys became men there.
Yeah, the ones
So
that survived.
it also had like the psychological impact. When you look at it like from the psychological point of view, the
You don't have a
men,
choice.
you can see like they were like more responsible. They were like really like my dad and his age. You can see that they're really like responsible a lot. They fold their t-shirts and everything, and stuck it. But
Were
nowadays,
they toxic and fragile?
you mean men and the
Yeah,
army that time?
yeah, yeah. Did they show toxic masculinity and fragile masculinity?
Yes, there was a lot of bullying, a lot of bullying.
A lot of bullying from the other boys.
Yeah. And especially from those who were like freshmen
Mm-hmm.
and those who were in charge. And
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
worst, of course, were, and you can see a lot of documentaries in Czech, like especially those who were bullied the first year and then became in charge.
Yeah, then they did it
Those
to the
were the
next guy.
worst. Yes.
Mm. Yeah, and again, it's like imagine in that regime, you where guys were forced to go to war, whether they like it or not. They stood up and made a movement and said, "Hey, we are the most oppressed people in the world."
Yeah.
That would have been funny. I mean, we do it now. We do it with the females do it now, but we just keep quiet. It's not a joke. It's like, yeah, we're females are the most oppressed people in the world, and men aren't. Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
All right,
But
so your dad was also in the army, yeah, in the military. Sorry.
he was, yes, he was in the
Uh-huh.
but as I said, like it was normal at that time. Like
Yeah,
my
yeah, for
dad was
sure.
born 1955, so 18 years later he went to so like we call it serve his time, but it was basically a training. So they were depending on their height and on their skills and on their family background and if their parents were in the communist party or not in a communist party. So they based on
That,
all of
that
that.
so that's the funny thing as well, right? Is that like even through discrimination and being discriminatory amongst people, when you need something done, you look past that. So it's like even if you hated people that were against communism and you like you said if your parents were religious, right, they hated you and they wanted to shun you out, but
Yep.
we need numbers, man, and we need to fight for this
But
thing.
if
So
you had like religious parents, then
mhm.
you were the like the I don't know the military, the units, but you were like on the ground and you were the first
Yeah,
one
but
to
you
be
were still
killed
there
in
fighting.
case.
Like, yeah, they still need the numbers. Yeah, they
Yes.
still need the numbers, but you'll do the dirty work. But
Yeah.
it's not like they'll completely shun you because you're against communism. It's like, no, we need you there. So fine, we'll put that discrimination aside. It's not too
Mm-hmm.
much. Yeah,
Mm.
that's crazy. That happens all over the world, man. It's like you can be racist towards someone, but if you need them in your team or your job because they need a specific type of work, which is what slavery was, then you go, oh, okay, yeah, but you can come work for my business. Like, yeah, I don't like people of your color or your gender or your culture, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm not that discriminatory, because I have to benefit. As soon as you don't benefit, you go, hey, jeez, hate you
Yeah.
guys. But that's also quite something that's interesting, and you see it a lot again with just people the way that they live these days and the way that they think. It's like I'm for feminism, and I especially this new age stuff, and I I love women and I want to talk about their oppression, but at the same breath I hate men. I absolutely despise them. And
I
they're
I
and
when we
they're
talk about
and they're
feminism,
trash,
I don't think
and they're
okay.
trash. Yeah, and then I've got two kids. It's like clearly they're not that trash. Like, how does that work? And what about them being in your actual family? What about them being boys? It's like, are you that trash
Mm-hmm.
against your boys too? Like, no, of course not. I benefit from them. I love them. I mean the other ones. But then the other ones
Mm-hmm.
say the other ones. And then everyone that's
Yeah.
saying the other ones is everyone's other ones. And then who are these people that you all hate? Clearly it's the people that are around you or none. But anyway,
Mm.
so it's actually like I said, that's why though it's a good title, I guess. Why it repeats itself like that. It's like you
And
can
when you asked me about the communism, like if I can explain, I remember, and you said that comment that, but it's like a nice idea that everybody works and then you come to one table and you basically you bring whatever you have and you share with everyone. I remember I had this conversation with my dad, and he explained this to me on a very easy example. He was like, "Okay, so imagine that you have um, summertime job or part-time job or whatever, because imagine you're 15 and you want to buy a really good car, like a really good." expensive car, and you go and you work and work and work, and then you buy the car,
And the same is
and
shared.
your friends come and say, ah, yeah, I had like I didn't feel well, so I didn't get that much money, so I cannot afford your car, so give me your car keys. What would you
Yeah.
say? Would you say, oh, here are your car keys because we
Mm,
share? No, you wouldn't
mm,
say that, because
mm,
you worked. They
mm,
worked not enough, not hard enough,
mm,
and you get what you deserve. That's
mm.
not that's in, let's say, capitalism. You
Yeah.
get
Well,
what you. I'm not saying that capitalism is
no, that's
good.
actually
Like,
it. That's it. That's capitalism right there. Whatever you work for, you get it. And then you can then say, well, there's certain times where capitalism is terrible because then certain people get exploited in that, which is true. But then it's like it doesn't mean that you still don't get if you don't get what you get or what you work hard for. Because then it's like, what's the alternative? We're gonna share? How? Share what and how and with whom and why? Right?
yeah.
And that's the thing is that you can be a very nice person that you think you are, and you try to say, well, I want everyone to have everything, and then some people go, okay, cool. Well, then what's the point of me working? Because I can just stay at home, let you go work, and whenever you come back, we can share the spoils. Now, is that fair? Yeah. So
Exactly.
that whole thought process of communism kind of combines is not connected to what human nature is about. Like it's good on paper type of thing, but then as soon as you meet people, it's like, no, it doesn't work like that. You want
Yeah,
to
that's why
work for
we call
what you
it
want to work for.
utopia. That's why we
Yes,
call it
exactly,
utopia, right? It's just not possible.
exactly.
It's like a beautiful thought, but it will never work. It will never work
Yeah,
for society.
yeah, and I also think like it's actually like a trick that people use that don't want to work. It's like, of course, I'm going to believe in a utopia if you have nothing. It's like, of course, if someone else is working hard and they're getting stuff, I have to believe in a utopia because that means that I'm getting something from you. So it's
Yeah.
almost like a legalized robbery. It's like, well, I
Mhm.
can just say that I want everyone to have the same stuff. And then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, cool, let's share. And I know I've got nothing, so there's nothing I'm going to share. And then I'll just
Mm.
take from whatever someone else has. And that's unfair on them. But hey, man, how is it unfair if it's for the greater good and it's for humanity? It's like, is it really? Or is it just about you? So, but at the same time, you don't want to have it to a point, you don't want to go too far as well to have those people that have everything actually take from people that don't have nothing.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, that's why the conversations are always there. That's why we should have these conversations is to kind of find out if, okay, is this gone too far or not? Or is the other side gone too far or not? And then as a result, if you want to break it down, have an alternative, because it's like you're living in it. You don't just take it away and then go, okay, cool, what? We'll figure something out tomorrow. And then everything is crumbled. Then everyone's poor and has nothing. It's actually
Yeah.
worse than what you have now. So
Yeah.
everyone that's against capitalism more often than not is like, well, what are you going to do when you take it away? And how are you going to take it away? You replace it with what? And is that better for who? So, and capitalism is the only thing that makes people rich because
Yeah,
everything
like
else you
you have to
share.
count it. Like I feel like capitalism is a good thing, but it has to be somehow combined with um
You have to have the noisy people.
yeah, but also like being considerate, and also like being able to help those who are in need. Because basically, the thing is that capitalism really favors those who are able and capable, but not everybody is able at the whole time. Like, let's say when you're old, you can't, what can you do? Nothing. You have to either rely on your family or you're homeless. So there has to be a system within the capitalism. There has to be a system based on solidarity.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean that's like the basis of life as well. It's like if you're young, you have nothing. And if you're old, you have everything, but you can't do nothing. So it's
yeah,
like, you're young, you have nothing. So what do? People have to help you to get something. And then you're in the middle and you can you kind of it changes in the middle where you have some stuff, sometimes you don't have some stuff, and sometimes you do have some stuff and you can't do anything with it, and so on and so forth. So you always have to check it and kind of evaluate, but you can't just say, well, this person has nothing, so someone has to give him stuff all the time. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. Because then you also take away their ability to attain things. And then they can say, well, I can never attain things because you actually took away that ability by giving them things all the time. That's what happens when you have a spoiled child, for example. It's like you're going to give him everything, and then what? You think at 18 he's going to rock up and say, cool, mom, I'm going to go out and find a job. How? So there has to be some roughness with it as well to say, I'm actually not going to give you something. That's also one of the weird things about being poor is that you're driven by necessity. You're driven by survival instinct. And that drive is powerful, and it's more, and you kind of in a way will not have it if you had everything. So it sparks something in you to survive. You know, it's like the war that you're talking about as well. It's like when you survive, man, when you need to survive, you go to depths that, like, you don't talk about feminism. You don't talk about the fact that, well, men are put in war and females are left at home and guys die every day. It's like, no, none of that political stuff. You just want to survive with who you love and who you're with, and you move forward. It's a powerful thing. You don't get that when you're living in a somewhat close to a utopia. You can't just tap into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
basically, you know what the communism did? Like, they took everything to everyone, so everybody was poor. So everybody felt like, oh, they're as poor as I am, so we're fine. They didn't see we're not fine. But talking about what you've just said, also, I remember one of my teachers, and let me ask you the same question what she asked me. Do you think that, and I swear to God, it was my teacher's question, do you think that you're capable of shooting someone?
of course, I'm capable of shooting more than one person.
You're capable of shooting what?
More than one person.
See, and this is how people also evolve, because I was asked this question when I was at high school. And I said, no, I'm not, like, I can't kill the fly, so I am chasing the fly out of the house. So how can I kill a person? And then, of course, the teacher started giving us different situations. And still there were situations when she was like, okay, so imagine that somebody is pointing a gun at you, and now it's you or him.
Exactly.
Will you shoot? And I was like, I think I would hesitate. Like, I would believe that the other person will not shoot, so I will not shoot, because, but I know now, being adult, older, hopefully wiser, but having much more experience, I know that now my answer would be yes. I am capable. I still don't know if I would be capable if somebody would be pointing at me, but in case that somebody would just seriously only point the gun at my kid, at my son, there would be no hesitation. There would be, like, I would not even ask the person to stop.
Yeah. It's a very, very, very rare person that will not do that under any circumstance. And they're so rare that most of them are dead because they never did it. So I would love to think that I would never shoot anyone. Like, even when you ask me that question, it's like, even when you ask me that question, there was a part of me that said, oh, I have to think about certain situations but at the end of the day, I'm thinking it will be tough. You have to really picture yourself with the gun and think, and put yourself in that situation. But I've already done that mental gymnastics a long time ago, and I know there's a lot of situations I can do that. But there obviously are going to be situations where every day I'm trying not to do that. So it's not like you go out there to go and do every harm that you possibly can. So you try not to be, but to be harmless is worse, because then you die. And like I said, it's a very rare person because the people that were not willing to do the things that are not good are not there. And also, the people that are willing to do things that are unsavory are the ones that also are on the front lines dying so that other people can even have that choice.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's either
And then
you
you also like come to realization like how privileged I am to be born in a place where there is no war or
yeah, exactly. So
like you
that's
don't.
why this term of yeah, that's why these terms like white privilege and that are just wishy-washy political stuff because it's like you're living with yeah, you're living with people that you're living in in a society where you're not even you'll never see a gun, or you'll never experience a crime, or even if you experience a crime, you have a life, and then yet you're gonna tell someone else that they're privileged. It's like, yeah, I know, of course you will, because again, like I said before, it's like a mental game that you play with yourself to kind of minimize what you can do and then point the finger outside. Because in that way, it then says to you that you're not the bad person and someone else is. But then you forget that if you are capable of doing that and someone else is capable of doing that too, and their finger is pointing at you.
Hmm.
So it's like, well, cool, you can think whatever you like, but reality says different. And then when people choose to be around certain people, they choose to be around certain people that at least can take responsibility for things like that. Like they're like, no, well, I know I did this and I know what the consequences are. And as soon as you're with someone that says, no, it's a victim, victim, it's like, okay, whatever. Cool.
Hmm.
Good luck.
Hmm.
Yeah, man.
Hmm.
And so your mom and your grandma, what did they do when your parents were out there in the
Well,
trench?
usually people here got married at the age of 20. It was the most common age, really, like, or 18 to 20. So basically, usually you got married before, like right before you went to the army, or after, so 18 or 20. But at the age of 20, or if you were like 20 plus and you were not married or in a serious relationship, then you were considered like probably like something's wrong, like you're gay or lesbian or whatever, like something's wrong with you. So people basically got married at the age of 18, then waited 2 years for their spouse to come back, and then they started having children and families, and you know, a
So
never-ending
what happened?
circle.
What happened? So okay, so your say your guy, your so guy and girl meet, they get married or not married, whatever, and the guy gets forced to go to the military, right? And goes there, dies, right? Now she's
It was
20.
military. It was like they didn't die. Like it was not like they went to the army. They went. It was like a 2 year training.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, yeah, okay, fair enough. So I'm saying now that they actually now went to a war.
Okay.
Yeah, so now they went to a war, then they
Okay.
died, and now you're 20, 20, 25. What do you do
Widow.
as a female? You carry on?
Well, yeah. Like it depends if you have a child or not. But basically, you become a widow, right? So
Yeah.
until you remarry, you get a
Another guy,
state
a guy that
support.
survived.
To a guy who luckily survived or has the blue book, has the good doctor somewhere. Then
Or a
then
guy or a guy in the opposing team that won.
or yeah. But you get a state money, like a state support as a widow. Like every widow or widower gets a state support money for losing their loved one, for fighting for the state or the nation.
Imagine back in those times that They changed that law and made the females go and fight and let the guys stay at home.
I was actually thinking about it. Like, I can't imagine that. I mean, I definitely believe in female power, but
But not that
I
much.
have to admit, like when you were talking about feminism, I'm definitely not a feminist. I definitely prefer the chivalry and the gentleman opening the door for you and pushing the chair. You know, like I am the um I don't
But
know,
that,
like.
as you should. So as you should, right? You should really enjoy that and then reciprocate it in a way that you can reciprocate it to that person. Because then you still, but then, because then you also then become the victim. Me. I like this. I like that. I want this to be done because I want this. And the other person says, okay, cool, no problem. I'll do it because you like it. But what are you doing? Well, I'm liking it and I'm here, and you should like me. Okay. Good luck.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. So
I'm like the
that's
caring
what I feel like.
person. Like I am the carer. So for
Yeah.
me, like for me making the home, the house, for me being able to change a house into a home, I expect, of course, I will do whatever I can for my family, for my husband, for my children to feel warm
Yeah.
and
That's the thing. Yeah. Well, that now they call that a gender role, and it should not be accepted.
ah,
And that's the thing, right? It's like, yeah,
but I
that's
like
why,
it,
and
I
then
think it
the
depends
people
on
that
the
put,
person. I think it depends really on the person, on the man, on the woman, and that's why, of course, we have it's good that we have a choice and everybody is different. But as I said, like because I prefer the chivalry. I am okay with taking care of the house. Of course, I appreciate the help of the man, but as I was brought up, I don't expect it.
yeah.
I
So
like.
okay, you like it, you don't accept, you don't.
I don't expect it.
Oh,
I
expect it.
like
Okay.
it. I appreciate it a lot
Hmm.
because being a single mom, I know how much work it is, but I don't expect the man to do that because I expect him to show me his not affection, but his appreciation differently. So I think it really depends on how you were brought up, in what type of family, full or not full family, having a father, mother, working, functioning together. You know, it depends.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah. And then and now, well, look, so it's like you prefer that and you love that, but at the same time you work harder than even most guys and girls outside in terms of, job wise, right? Now, if you had a guy that could do that or a guy that can do the home stuff, what would you prefer?
I would still like I would prefer him to as I said, I am the carer. I feel like I am the one responsible for the house. That's like my I don't know what like job number one would
Mm-hmm.
be the housewife.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I would prefer to be the house husband too. It's tough out there, bro, in the job market, in the business there,
well,
working
but
with.
then yeah, I know, I understand. But then
Yeah,
it's really up to those two people if they can come up to a compromise. Like if
yeah,
they can say like, look, you like cooking, but I don't like the way you cook. I prefer the way I cook. So
mm.
yeah,
At the
they
end of the
have to
day,
come to a compromise. Like let's cook
yeah,
together, or let's come up with a different way of cooking, or whatever. Let's combine
mm,
it. You do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I
mm,
do the other days, or what?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
really up to the couple.
yeah, and also at the end of the day, those things need to be done. So
Exactly.
whether you want to have a gender role or not, they need to be done, and not only that, they need to be done well. Because if they're not done well, then you won't like it. So So the person that likes doing them is generally also going to be the person that does them well, because they'll take time and effort to change, even if they're not doing it well. And then that kind of then falls into roles, gender roles, that even if it's not like assigned to someone, it's just something that you like. So it's like, even if I say, look, well, I want to be a house husband and I love playing video games, I can just put my feet up and, take care of the kids and laundry. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. It's work. You don't just sit, you work. You probably work worse there than you do at the actual job. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, I don't like to be at the job too, because I don't like to fight and I don't like to, argue and go to meetings and wake up in the morning. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, you have to do one of those things. You can't do them both. And then, therefore, it's like, well, what can the other person do? And then it sorts itself out the way that it does.
There is one way how to sort this out, actually, how to solve this is like, have like big family, a lot of children, let them do the chores.
No, you have a big family, you say you have six to 10 kids. Who's gonna help them grow up until they're 18? Yeah.
No, like now child labor is definitely a bad thing, but
unless there was.
But that's the thing that once you share the household, of course, it cannot be a responsibility of one person only. Like I would prefer it to have it like to be in my way. Maybe I am like, I don't know, OCD or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I have something. But I prefer things to be done my way. That's why I wouldn't mind doing it all. But of course, I may have flu or I may not feel well or whatever, and then I would expect the man to step in and say, look, I can see that you're not well, let me do it. And I totally understand that I have to appreciate and I have to like shut up, and I cannot like stand behind his ass saying like, no, you should not wipe it from left to right, but from right to left, because I do it that way. So yeah, it may not be perfect the way the other person does it, but because he does it for me, I have to appreciate that definitely.
Yeah. I think that's also a very important point as well, because I think the problem that the females have as well is that you have to, as a female, try to have high standards, right? So it's like the high standards are not really the issue, but when you fixate on it, it becomes the problem, because it's like, of course, you're gonna want to be wined and dined. Of course, you're gonna want a chivalrous man that's gonna open the door for you, and of course, you're gonna want a guy to listen to your stories, and of course, you want all of that, right? But then it's like, okay, but you're not wanting that from someone that also doesn't have wants and needs and emotions. So as soon as you're like, okay, well, I want all of this, and then the other person goes, okay, cool, I'll do all of that, and then you go, yeah, cool, end of conversation. Then you get left. You become single and bitter very quickly. And the females that understand that, oh, actually, this thing needs to be reciprocated, and it's obviously not going to be reciprocated exactly the same, because guys generally don't like women that are chivalrous. It's like, if you can do it, why am I doing it for you? So they'll like certain other things, right? And then you then reciprocate it that way. But also, you have to also like what you're doing for the other person, and that's the conversation that you need to have. Right?
Yeah, the communication is very important. Yes.
Yeah. But this is what again I see is that the people that make the noise about guys or girls that are not great for them are the actual problems themselves. They're not great for them, and it's as a consequence of, okay, I want to know myself and what I like. Great, you know that. But if you stop there, it's a problem. Because then it's like, well, how are you going to then get the other person to do what you like? And it's like, well, you need to give them what they like too. That's
it's about giving and receiving, yeah.
Exactly that. I mean, that's how everything works, right? And if you're not willing to give, it's like, well, you're probably not going to receive. Or you're going to receive what you don't like. You
But
know.
you know, also like after some time, when a person, and I'm not saying it is my case, but it's definitely case of some people I know, like
Mhm.
they tend to give like really easily, and they got hurt so many times over and over again that they stopped giving. And let's say that at that point you meet someone who is really worth giving, and for that person it was almost like impossible to give because she was hurt so many times when she gave that she just stopped giving, and she was like, no, no, either you do all of it with everything what I know, and I will do like a bare minimum. But it was just the mechanism which developed. She was a good girl, but she just needed to, maybe it needed some time to heal or whatever, but everybody should realize how important the boundaries are. Like in the relationship, any kind of relationship, you cannot be the only one giving and you cannot be the only one receiving, because
Hmm. But
whatever end you're pulling, you will be the one who will be damaged in the end.
but then that's also that's also the problem with life in general, is that we're all set different timelines. So it's like you can get to a certain age and you're like, cool, I'm not gonna do this ever again. And it's like, okay, well, no one's gonna want you because the other person that is on the other side that needs to want you doesn't have to want you now. They can just go either have someone else or not have you. So it's very tricky because you go, well, I'm not gonna give anymore. I'm 32 and I'm not gonna give my heart to anyone. And a guy comes and says, hey, I want your heart. And you go, no. And then he goes, well, cool. I'll wait 10 more years and get it from someone else. So it's not like he's going, guys know their worth, man. You're not gonna settle. It's like, well, cool, no problem. I'm gone, and that's it. And then who suffers at the end? It's like, well, then I'm gonna be 40 and 45 with no kids and no man. It's like, okay, cool, go for it. You get to 45 and you go, well, it's kind of lonely here. Maybe I want the man. And then what men do you have then at your disposal? You just have guys that are um, well, married or ex-married or just want to play games, and you just cut your whole pool down.
Mm.
So that's why at times I like to speak about this a lot, especially when it comes to females, because it's like the female, it's almost as if when you're younger, your biggest issue is the fact that you know exactly what you want and you only want
Oh
that.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, only want that.
No
And then
compromises. Yeah.
as soon as you get older, all those things start to vanish and they get smaller and smaller. And your best chance was back then, but because you set such high standards, it's like, what are you gonna do now? Because people are setting high standards for you, and they go,
Mm.
no, I don't wanna go. That's gonna be 32 and whiny. Then you go, why not? Just it's like, yeah, well, it's the same high standards that you gave guys at 25. So it's a tricky thing, this life thing.
Yeah, but it's not only with like relationship and guys, it's with everything. Like you
Yes,
feel that
everything.
you have the power to change the world, like with anything. It can be with job, it can be really with anything. And like with experience and
Yeah,
like that these
yeah,
the realization, oh, so I am not able to do that, so I actually cannot do that. So like yeah, it like the life itself navigates you and gets you to the direction whatever you if you want it or you don't want it. It's just, life
yeah.
happens.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing about this as well, is that when you're in a certain age or a certain category, you think of things the way that you would benefit from it, right? And you tend to not think how you would think in the future and how
Mm.
the thing then would benefit you, or how this that you thought didn't benefit you could actually benefit you in the future. It's like a quick example. It's like guys that go into crime, right? It's like, well, I'm 18. It's like, well, the best thing I want right now is to be the most notorious guy on the street because I get street cred for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Him going to jail is like, yeah, now people know me. It's like, okay, cool. But you don't think about 6 years' time when you're 25 and street cred is actually not that great anymore. And maybe now
Mm.
what's great is actually getting a job. But then it's like now you have a criminal record and now you're
No.
26.
Mm.
Yeah, now you can't get a job. Now you have to do crime. And now you don't even like it, but it's like, well, now it's part of you. Just from that, and it's again, like, make 1,000 examples of that. But this is part of the reason, well, part of the reason why I even started stuff like this is so that you don't have to envision your own thoughts or your own future. You can just listen to someone else that's already there, that went through it, and then go,
But you don't
oh,
want to listen when you're young because you think that you know best, not the others, not those with experience. Because you
yeah.
see, no, you didn't, I wouldn't do that way because I think it's not right. And you think that whatever you want and whatever you envision is the right way.
But and the nice thing about that though is even if you don't want to listen and you hear it, right, and you go about your own path, when you get to the point where you say, "Shit, I should have listened," it's like the
Hmm.
only person that you can blame now is yourself. But if you never listened,
Exactly.
you never heard it, then you can always say, "Shit, man, someone could have told me this. Someone should have told me this." So at
Yeah,
least you'll
but
be
you know,
at least
some
responsible
people,
for
some
your
people
actions.
don't. That, and that's the problem. That some people don't blame themselves. Some people are they either twist the words like, "No, you didn't say it that way," or you start blaming everybody else, not yourself. It may be you like that. It may be me like that. But I know many people who just they would never blame themselves. And me being a teacher, I can see it. I don't blame the kids when they say, no, I swear to God, I did the homework, I just forgot it at home. I don't blame them if they lie to me. But who I do blame is the parents if they lie to me, because they're the adults and they should teach them, look, this was your responsibility. This is what this is the consequence. You have to go through that. You
So you
have to live
blame you
through
blame
that
the kids.
experience.
You blame the kids only if the parents had told them that, and the kids then decided not to
But
actually.
me as a teacher, I will never find out the truth, and
Oh, okay.
it's
I'm
not my
saying,
job
okay,
to find the
okay.
truth. But if the parent tells me, look, what happened to me so many times, no, I swear to God, I was sitting next to my son or next to my daughter, and we did the homework together, and she sent it to you in the system. And I show them, look, the system shows me missing. No, we send it. I open it and I say, see, it is empty. There is not I don't know where you wrote it together,
Yeah,
but
you
it's
shift the
not
yeah,
there.
yeah, you shift the responsibility immediately, and then you make it seem like it's somewhere else in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then they
Mm.
realize that actually the teachers are not that stupid.
Yeah.
That
I
actually
realize
they
the
can
teachers are
play
not
these
bad.
games with them.
Yeah. Okay.
So no,
Yeah.
I don't blame the kids because they're like they're scared of the teacher kind of. They're scared of the parents usually. So they want the easy way out. But we as adults, we know that there's not always the easy way out, and the easy way out is mostly not the right path.
Mm. Yeah.
Like there
And
is
it's an easy
always
way
an easy
out.
way out, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's an easy way out and a tougher way in somewhere else.
exactly.
Mm.
But the thing is, and it doesn't matter now what age we are or where we were born, uh, and this can be a bridge to what we started actually. We have to start learning from the mistakes. And the history is showing us the mistakes, our personal history, our growth, our experience, and everything. And obviously, Europe has not learned from the mistakes.
Make a
Me,
world
my
happen.
country, my neighboring countries have not learned from the mistakes.
That's a good place to end, man. Oh, so and what? It's not even that they. Some of them haven't learned from their mistakes, and some haven't learned from other people's mistakes. You can't live, you can't, yeah,
True.
you can't make all the mistakes yourself. You have to learn from other people's stuff. So that's part of that's what history is about. It's like you
Mm,
can't live that experience, but you can look at someone else's experience and go, oh, nah, I don't want to do that.
mm.
Yeah, it's only going to lead to this and it's going to lead to that, just like it did there. Because at times, if you go and do it yourself, you won't even
But
be
for
able to
that,
learn
you
from
have
them
to
because
be
you died.
smart. But
Hmm?
for that, you have to be smart because usually you avoid those situations which you went through. Like if you
Yeah,
live through a pain, you remember it, you try to avoid it. That's how you learn from the mistake. But for this, what you said, which is a great example, you have to be smart. You have to recognize this. Oh, this happened to. What if it happened to me? And you have to envision yourself in that situation and not to say like this can never happen to me. Of course it can. Of
that's
course it can.
exactly what's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
Mm, mm, yeah. And some mistakes, you can only make them once. So it's like, yeah, well, I'm going to learn from my mistakes. It's like, well, go to war and see if you're going to learn from that because you'll be dead.
Yeah.
So how many mistakes of your own can you learn from? It's like it's not actually that much because some of them take you out. They make you depressed, or they make you anxious, or they make you go crazy. Or they put you in jail. So it's like you really like you're not gonna listen to your uncle when he said you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be selling drugs. You're not gonna do that. Yeah, because it sent him to jail. But you think you can do that because you think you're cool? Okay, you do it once, you go to jail, and that's it. There's no more mistakes to learn from. So
And like to go back to society from jail. I cannot imagine that. I saw some documentaries and it was terrifying. It was terrifying, really.
yeah, yeah. And there's people that wouldn't wait to put people in jail for things that for things that are just because you believe just because you believe in something different to me, I'm going to then, accuse you of something and land you up in jail like it's some joke, and then just apologize when you come out. It's like it's so evil, man. It's like one of the most evil things you can do. I'm going to say that you touched me inappropriately, and then take it. And jail doesn't have to be actually physical jail. It can be mental jail, for instance. It's like you can cancel someone as a jail. You cancel them, you take them, you know you put them on blast, and you cancel them, you take them out of their job, and now they're useless at home, and now they'll forever think, shit, nothing else I can do, and they lose their job, and they'll lose their family, all because that you didn't like the way that this and this happened. And then you think that person's not going to come back and try to slaughter you? That's when that person thinks, you know what, I could probably shoot someone.
Yeah.
So,
That's how it
yeah.
starts.
Mhm.
I mean, I believe that it will never end, seriously. Like this is
Yeah, for
somewhere
sure.
very deep in our genes,
You know. Mm.
survival instinct. I don't know.
I don't know. I think if it ever ends, that would be the end of humanity. In a sick way, it's kind of like you kind of need it to move forward. It's like you need the people to you back to realize, oh, okay, actually, I need so much. I need to go very far forward. Because if everyone's happy, it's like, well, what's the point of going forward? So it's like it's a weird balance of life in a way. But at least, when you can have a conversation like this, someone that is trying to be pulled back can go, nah, let me just take a bit of responsibility to move forward. So yeah, win some, lose some.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Agree.
Is it cold there?
I am always cold. I'm not in Bahrain anymore at this point, so yes, I'm freezing. If it's not like 40 degrees. No,
How
but
much
it,
is down
it
there?
was like 22 degrees of Celsius here today, and it was like raining off, on and off, on and off. So I wasn't even like outside for one
When
minute
does it
because
when does it snow? Sorry.
it
When does it snow?
snows in December, January, February. Depends. But yeah, it's we have like this typical spring, summer, autumn, winter seasons. So the winter when it snows usually is it used to snow in I remember when I was small, like I have photos from November, December, like so much snow. I loved the feeling when I had like frozen fingers, like from outside, and then I came inside and it slowly started like melting. I loved that feeling. Um, but but because of the global warming, or I don't know how to call it, like people usually call it global warming. Some people don't believe in it, but there is scarcely snow before Christmas now here. So something definitely has to be happening. You can call it whatever you want. Doesn't have to be global warming, but it's shifting. The weather obviously is shifting.
Maybe it's the tension between the people that's causing so much heat.
No, so people obviously here are not warm-hearted because it's not warm enough. No, it's really now, but they said that next week should be tropical weather. So I'm looking forward to the tropical weather. I don't know what it means anymore here.
Yeah, 80, what, like 80% rain.
No, I think basically usually it means that it's like really dry. Like it's usually like 30 and above and dry, which I don't like
Uh-huh.
because you feel
You feel like, yeah.
cookie inside.
You feel like,
You
yeah.
like cookie in the oven. No, actually no, not like there because there it's not dry. It's worse here
Ah,
because
okay.
it's
So
dry.
just boiling and humid.
You're like boiling egg in Bahrain. I'm here like a cookie in the oven, getting dry.
You made a cooking analogy and you lost me. No, I'm joking.
Sorry.
All right. Okay. I'll talk to you now. No, thanks for that.
Okay, you're welcome. Anytime.
You said what is it you said it's what? Aloha. No, it's not. What's goodbye?
Ahoy.
Ahoy. Ahoy for ahoy.
We have both. You know, ahoy is like universal. It's hello and bye. You say it to friends. Ahoy. Dobrý den is like good day, and goodbye. And I think you can say it naschledanou.
Neschledeno. Yeah.
But that's
I
what you
have it
say to
in,
people.
I have it in me. I just don't like speaking Czech. But
Or we say the same as Italians. Ciao.
yeah. I use these terms, but I don't really like speaking the language. I try to keep it simple.
Why?
It's it's just yeah. Never
How
mind.
many languages do you speak?
Speak bullshit. That's just one.
You know, we had he is very actually he lived in like 15th century and he is called the father of the nations or the teacher of the nations and
Oh,
he is
that Jacob Zuma. We had that
huh?
guy too. Also had that guy,
You
Jacob
have
Zuma.
that guy too.
Mhm.
So he basically again why I know a lot about him is because he was like one of the first teachers, like international teachers. He actually died. He was born here. He was refugee in Poland and he ended up in Netherlands where he was born. Sorry, where he died and was buried. He was born here.
Yeah, I thought this man was
Um,
born twice. I thought he was of Indian descent.
No, 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 no.
Isn't that in the
But
Indian
that was
religion
the
where
time
they
of the,
reborn?
and again, we were during the wars, but not like wars like these, but religious wars.
Yeah, that's
But
another
there was
talking point.
only one religion, and he was from a different religion, so he had to flee the country, and it was just one crazy stuff. So what he said is that as many languages you know, as better human you are.
True. Because in order also to learn the languages, you need to understand the culture and kind of take their history as well. And then when you do that, you kind of realize that, okay, yeah, it's not about me. It's about everyone else.
Oh, yes. See, this is why
Mm.
I like the conversation with you, because you get the thing straight. Because some people would be like, why? It's just a language. But no, when you learn the language, you obviously have to learn the culture, and it like brightens your view. So yeah, it's not only about, and of course it was not meant to just like learning vocabulary.
Mm. That's good. All right. I'll
Okay.
talk to you some other time. Thanks for that.
Okay. You're welcome. Bye.
Ahoy. Ahoy.
Ahoy. Ahoy.